Hello, we are Team Orange and this is our EHR Interface. This application is a quick way to look up basic patient information like patient data, allergies, examinations, visits, and meds assigned. We decided to use Microsoft Azure in order to get our application to work on desktop, tablet, and phone. We had to dedicate more time to research, coding, and testing, which was the risk we were willing to take, but we did shrink our data model to acceptable size for this kind of application due to time limitations. We could implement the whole database, but it would require more time, so we decided to rather show a variety of things that can be done, and the rest of tables could be added in the same way.
So the framework we decided to use was ASP.NET MVC Web API. Microsoft Azure Cloud Services includes things such as a management console, which is right here and is also web-based. You can look at your projects, such as your websites, and also the databases that you have stored, and you can manage them from here. We used Visual Web Express for our front end, which included languages such as HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and jQuery. Let me further explain how the model view controller works. We have our model, which is our database being generated with Petapoco. Petapoco is a NuGet package that interacts with your data model. We have the view, which is the interface and what the end user sees. There's a sneak peek. And then we have our controllers, which is the main communicator between the model and the view. And these are called based off of API AJAX calls.
Okay, so for our database, we started from scratch and we used the Azure Cloud System, which you can see here, to build our database. The first thing we did is we created all of our tables, which are these ones right here. And then we defined the relationships. So for this table, the relationships, you can see right here we have a foreign key for a patient ID. And then once all the relationships were defined, we began to enter all the data within the tables themselves using the Azure app. So for an example, for patient, we have all this data entered along with the other tables that are in the database. This is way easier to do this on Azure instead of having to create input scripts, because it was just click and enter, which was very simple. Once the tables were populated with data and the keys were defined, the whole backend was complete. From there, we then started to design the front-end user interface.
This is the HTML form for our patient search result table. The forms are HTML templates, so they actually don't need to have the HTML tags like body and head and title and all of that. They're made to fit with the Java Reactive framework, and you can see this patient data here. It's an example of two-way binding. It references a patient ID and pulls the data set, and that is how we're able to use the values in these various columns that will display all of the patient information. The application uses 0 page refreshing because of template swapping. The form is written in HTML5, as you can see from these field set attributes, which are new for HTML5. The divs were used to divide where we want the information to display on the screen, and that was just kind of a trial and error thing. We used inline CSS just because of time restrictions, and it was easier to get them set up that way. And the button clicks call JavaScript functions, which handle the information that's displayed and which of the HTML forms are actually displayed to the user. Coming up will be a demo of our system and how it works.
So this is a quick overview of our EHR system. So here on screen we have the ability to add patient or search patients. So first I'll show the functionality of searching patients. So as you can see, we've generated a list of all the patients in our database. So you can use these boxes here to search by name, last name, whatever fields you want to filter out, you can use these boxes to filter those specific fields. So I'll just do a quick demo of Obi-Wan. As you can see, we've got here is personal information. And down here we have additional information that you can pull from the database. So we can look at his visit history. It'll show the reason he was here, the date he was here, the type of treatment, the room number he was staying in. As we move along through here, you can see that just all the information that is necessary for a patient or a doctor, anyone involved in this process, any information that they would need to use or gather together is shown here in this screen. We'll just return home and we'll add a patient. So when it comes to adding a patient, we're just going to start off by entering their patient ID, first name, last name, type of O, with a weight of 196 pounds, height of 80 inches, the SSN, just kind of quick these in here for proper formatting, gender of male, and the date of birth. (1968). And then we can click Add Patient, and the page responds telling us that the patient was successfully added. And as you can see here, it's automatically added to the database. And we have a pre-rendered image here. So if it's a patient's first visit, there is no default image. But as you can see, all of the information necessary has been put into the database so a patient can start receiving medical treatment at the facility.
Yeah, that sounds nice.
Because of the way we developed the system, we have the ability to support mobile devices.
Alright, so this is our interface, but on a tablet, because it can do that. So we go to search patients. There's also a button to return home if you don't want to do that. But search patients, the grid populates. Let's look at Chewbacca. Okay, so here's Chewbacca, all the information on him. We can go back to search. Here's Luke, information on Luke. Back to search. Here's Darth Vader, that patient that we had just added. And then we'll show you that add-in is also easily done with this. So we'll add a new patient. I'm just adding myself right now. Alright, and this will post to the database with the insert procedure. And then if you zoom in, You can see the new patient added, which is me, Ted Getzke there at the bottom. Bit blurry. Alright, and then if you look at it, there's the new patient. No picture has been taken, but his general information shows up. And then also no information because he has no testing done. And that's tablet access.
Here we have our support for iOS devices. So this is a phone version of our application. So as you can see, you can search patients. Because this is a little bit smaller. As you can see, we have Ted and Darth have all been added. I accidentally clicked on Leia. So when I zoom out, you can see that her information is here. And we have the ability to return back to search. And each time we return, you can flip to change the sizing. And let's have a look at Obi-Wan again. As you can see, it's still loading correctly. And we can return home. And the add patient functionality works the same way that it does on the iPhone as it does on Android and on desktop versions.